What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about LTCN, BCHG, HZen, ETH-E, ETCG, DEFG, all in this video today. That's what we're going over. We're going to talk about it for you, Mr. Captain Jack Sparrow, Mr. Martin himself, HZen for items, ETH-E, ETCG for some guy, and DEFG for Atalis, I think is how I pronounce that. The first two for Captain Jack and the rest for everybody else. Let's get into it now. So looking at the daily here with LTCN, I think it's becoming increasingly obvious that we're probably at a topping point. Okay, that's a relatively toppish looking candle. We could close the day higher than we are now, but I doubt we get up too much higher than that. I want to pull up a relative fib and put a line right there just to see where we're at. I'm going to pause the music. I just remembered that it's still on, so let's pause the music and just take a look back. It's pretty damn close to that weekly closing high. So again, we could move a little bit higher. We could. You know, maybe we're at 54.45 for the high. Maybe we move up to 58. Who knows? I want to look at LTC for what it's worth real quick. LTC probably found a relative high. It's going to consolidate a little bit. I don't know if it's like a relative high necessarily. Relative on the shorter time frame, sure. Yeah, LTCN probably has found a relative high as well, but how long will it sustain? How long will that high hold? You know, I don't know. It could be a day or two. It could be a week or two. It could be a month or two. You know, but I do. 2272, man, we hit that. Oh, I'm gonna make a bold call. I think yesterday was the high. I think this day was the high at 54.45. Wow, that's bookends there. It's a radar 5445 radar. It's a palindrome where it's the same in the beginning. It's the same one way as it would be reversed. If that's what a palindrome is. That's nothing to do with technical analysis. Okay, so don't get too hung up on that. But 54.45 is where the high is right now. I think that is going to be the relative high. We're probably going to move down. We're at 46.85 right now. We're going to move at least down to $38.04 around there, but more probably I would think around $30, $31, somewhere around there. Find a higher low and then move higher. I like the volume. I like the structure on the RSI. We're pretty damn hot though, so we might cool off. This could be a more momentary high where we see something like we did back here, right? We could see something like this. It is possible. I'm not really calling for that at this moment. I suppose we'll know if that's the case if we close below this 1618. If we do that, then sure, we might be in a more significant kind of phase of consolidation. Let's see, actually, from relative high to there. I don't know. I guess that's a pretty big dump, maybe. I don't know. I take it back. I suppose if we close below $38 on a daily, then we might be in a longer phase of consolidation than I was thinking. But I say long phase, you know, this was at the high 28th of December, at the low 16th of January, a little bit less than a month. That makes sense. We could do something like that right now for sure. Maybe it only lasts a week, maybe it only lasts a couple weeks, but maybe it lasts a month, who knows. But let's see, relative low to high. I mean, pulling back to $26 wouldn't be weird at all, especially if this is a local high. Wouldn't be weird at all, man. Yeah. Look at that. That 382 of this low to high versus this high to low. The high to low is the 1414. The low to high is the 382 right there at about 26.42 cents. Right at the previous area of resistance as well. We could be making our way down to about $23.5 to $26.5, you guys. I know that sounds insane, but in no way am I recommending selling here. Anytime I talk about these dramatic drops, in no way am I recommending selling. I'm not a financial advisor, so that's not something I could do anyways. But what I would recommend, if I could recommend, would be that you just buy more. You buy more down there. That's what you do, right? That's LTCN. Let's move on. I do think it's found its high, just to be clear. BCHG, I'm actually surprised that it went up a little bit higher today. I did think that it was going to go lower yesterday. Yesterday did not do at all what I thought it would do, but hey, here we are. Closed at 21.65 with a high at 23.77. So beautiful, man. I love this chart. I like the LT when you compare them, BCHG to LTCN. Look at where BCHG is right now, right? Like you're testing previous areas of support at your like all-time high area. Like if that's what BCHG is doing, what do you think is next for LTCN? And I'm not talking about here. That's like your quick dip. I'm talking about up here, man. Like 115 is nice, but 200 is nicer. Like that's what you have to look forward to. Okay, you're building your way up there. You're not quite there yet, but that's like that. Relatively speaking, in this sense, BCHG is further along, right? Absolutely, it's further along based on its chart, relatively speaking. And BCH has been more bullish than LTC. You know, it makes sense. That's how it happens sometimes. Volume is decreasing as you're moving up. Of course, you're going to pull back. Of course, you're going to pull back. Let's see, relative high to low here. Reached for that 3618, didn't you? You reached for it. That might be some front running or just relative selling because you're at previous areas of support. I'm very confident that that's the high, man. I am very, very confident that that's the high. Let's see. I think the only reason why yesterday I was convinced that we'd find our high around 19. I think I said 19 to $21 in my last BCHG video was because that was the low. But just like LTCN, maybe I shouldn't take that low, but I should take the low where there's a bunch of touch points, which would be essentially like right there. And that is pretty damn close to the high. So you probably do find resistance here. You probably do see a pullback. Where's that pullback going to take you? That's the long anticipated answer. You're very overbought, man. You're at a 96 on the RSI right now. You're probably going to cool down this week. You're probably going to cool down. You'll see a phase of consolidation like this is what I'm assuming. So BCHG, and it makes sense. If you watched my Bitcoin Cash video recently, I think Bitcoin Cash is going to be in a phase of consolidation as well. It makes sense that it will probably consolidate alongside with the underlying asset. Yeah, you probably pull back down. As crazy as it sounds, guys, we're at 21.65 now. BCHG probably pulls back to about anywhere from 780 to 1136. I doubt that you go back to $5 or $4, but 780 to 1136, yeah, man, you've got quite the drop ahead of you, I would say. And I'm leaning quite heavy on that 780 kind of $8.30 area, actually. But 1136, 781 is where I think you're going to go. Let's just see real quick. Whoa, bro. Today was the hottest you've ever been in your RSI ever. Let's take a moment and reflect, okay? Right there and right there. The only two times that you even came close to where you are now. What did you do? Well, here, you pulled back from a high point to a low point. You pulled back about 58%. And the only other time that we saw it was here. And you did continue up a little bit, but from a high point to a low point, you pulled back 57% and 58%. I love it when they make sense, when they twin. We win. It's beautiful. Gives us something to expect. We could go a little bit higher, but I have a feeling that this was our little bit higher. We've already achieved it. So assuming that we do a 57 to 50, look at that, man. Right in the range that we're looking for, right? 780 to 1130. This would give us, if it was a 57% drop, roughly, $10.16. $10.16. Let's take the relative fib real quick and see if that lines up with anything. I'm going to be inappropriate if it does. Let's see. Low, come on, low to high. At the 382, like, you guys, I know I've got some new subscribers from Ethan Gallsad's channel. I know a lot of you have found your way for the Grayscale technical analysis through Ethan Gallsad's channel. Shout out to Ethan. Shout out to every single one of you who have made your way here. I'm very grateful for you. Especially shout out to Ethan though, man. He's the facilitator of the kind of community that we're all building here. It's awesome. But for those of you that have been here for a while, you know that when I talk about the fibs, when we get a strong move up or a strong move down, but we're in the bull cycle, so it's all going to be relatively up, you look for support at the 382. And generally speaking, I say this all the time, you on the first attempt back to the 382, you don't find support on it, but just below it. You can find support on it, but generally speaking, you do go just below it. It looks so perfect. It looks so it lines up with literally everything that I've gone over in this video. It takes the cake. You guys, we're going below $11. We might hold $10, but at the lowest we could go to $7.80. We're at $21.65 now. Buckle up, buttercups. We're going down. BCHG dropping it low, girl. All right, HZen. And be patient. Again, that's not me telling you to sell. If anything, that's me saying buy more, because guys, we go back. I'm not going to do it for LTCN. I mean, I'll just tell you right now. For LTCN, I have a $2,500 price prediction for the all-time high of this cycle. For the cycle high, $2,500, if not higher. It genuinely could see $4 to $5 grand. It genuinely could. But $2,500 is where I'm staying for now. With BCHG, 250 is the minimum. 1541 is the maximum. And the first few times that I talked about this, I'm like, I just don't see that happening. But as time goes on, I'm kind of like, it really could happen, man. But we're looking at 250 to 1500. You know, we're at $21 now. You've got a guaranteed over 10x even from these high prices. Don't mess with it, man. Don't play the game where you buy and sell, because last time we did this, right? You guys remember, everyone who was here last time, I called this high very well. I did not call the low very well, right? I do remember saying that we'd probably pull back up, but I didn't think that we would. That was it. I thought we'd go back down afterwards, and we did, but we didn't go as low as I thought. So I was hanging myself on the thought that we were going to go lower, and I probably hung up a lot of you on that. But I know I also said throughout this time, and I know Ethan did as well, encouraged that DCAing was a good thing to do, because you never know when a move like that can happen. So again, just kind of in reference to that, I'm not advocating anybody sell here. If you want to do it, if you want to play the short-term game, you want to sell here and you want to buy lower, it's probably not a bad area to do it. Okay, it's probably not. But if I think the price could go below $11, what I would do is I wouldn't play the game. It's at $21 now. Wait for it to drop. I mean, from its relative high, wait for it to drop like to $17 and then buy back there. Eat it. Understand that it will go lower and just eat that loss, but take your like temporary gain. Like don't try to catch the whole move, because that's when you'll get boned. That's generally where you will get screwed over. So I don't know. That's just my opinion, not financial advice, but I would recommend that nobody even sell. You just hold and you buy more. It's less of a headache, especially whenever you understand that the price probably will be going down in the immediate term. It probably will. And when I say immediate term, I mean this price down at like $10 to $11, potentially down to $7.80 even. It's going to happen in a very short amount of time, just like it did here, and then we'll consolidate for longer than it took to actually find the low. That just makes sense, in my opinion. I'm sorry, taking so long to say this. HZen, looking bearish, looking like it wants to go down as well, which makes sense, you know. Let's look at Zen. Consolidating before the breakout, double top in your weekly RSI, okay. Daily looks a little bit bearish. It makes sense, yeah. It looks like it wants to go down, so HZen 2 will probably go down. You've had a nice run up, very explosive. I know that we were bullish on it down here in this accumulation phase, right? We were about to break out, and we did, from a low to a high. You don't have to pull back to 273, but you're at 762. It really wouldn't be crazy, you guys, if you pulled all the way back to 273 for a couple reasons. For one, again, it's your 382, strong move, find support there. Very common thing to do, but if we put a line right there, also previous areas of support here. You could pull all the way back to your 0.5 as well. For one, it's your 0.5. For two, resistance here, resistance there. So you could go to about $1.80, $2.80, somewhere in there. but down is what I think you're going to do. You were very hot, very overbought, and you're probably going to reap the repercussions of this move to the downside. You've got a nice bullish kind of looking parabolic, almost looking RSI. When this structure breaks, you will probably consolidate and see a hell of a reckoning for several weeks, maybe even several months. HSM will probably be not exciting for any bulls, in any relative time frame. So be prepared for that. Going down is what I think. Going down a lot. That's HSM, and it makes sense. It went up a lot, so that's just the name of the game. High volatility on low liquidity assets. That's just how it is. ETH 886 hit. It wouldn't be crazy if you pulled back to 1948. You're at 2350 right now. Let's look at ETH for what it's worth. Let's see. I don't know if I like that fib. $886 as well, huh? Yeah, ETH, you're at 3,300. You might pull back to 2,500. Let's see if anything else makes sense with that. Yeah. Yep, I think so. Yeah, you look like you want to go down lower. All right, so ETH probably does want to drop as well. And you really could find support at about 1950. You could go lower. You could. You could go down to about $16, man. I think you do. If you don't hold support at 1950, and I don't think you will, but you could, you're probably going to go down to about 16 bucks, 15 bucks. Let me see, actually, what would that be? Yeah, I'll say 15 to 16 bucks is where you're going to go. That's my thoughts on ETH. And look, you broke out of your bullish trajectory on the weekly RSI. You've broken out of it. Absolutely you have. So, yeah, you're going to do that relatively immediately. Going down. Bearish video for the Grayscale Trust, man. ETCG. I have hopes. Let's look at ETC. Probably does move back. You're at 30 bucks, probably down to 23 bucks. Let me just give it a quick overlook real quick. I think so. Yeah, you probably do. So that would imply ETCG as well will move down, probably. You know, ETCG, if it wasn't for ETC's chart, I would actually think this looks bullish. It actually does look pretty bullish, I'm not going to lie. There we go. I'm slouched over, guys, because it's 2 in the morning for me here. I'm wide awake, though. I'm wired, man. It looks like bearish divergence, but I wouldn't classify it as that. You're still in this upward trend. Whenever this trend breaks on the weekly, which you could be doing right now, you might be in the midst of that kind of move. When that does happen, you'll probably see fireworks to the downside. You're at a relative high area from like this accumulation phase, consolidation phase, whatever you've been in since like 2022. Pulling back to about $9.33 wouldn't be crazy at all. You probably do. You probably pull back to about $9, $9.30, somewhere in there. That's ETCG. Over the weeks, over the months, boring, consolidating, moving down. We're going to finish this bad boy up with DEF G. Grayscale Decentralized Finance. DeFi fund. I wonder what's in their DeFi fund, man. I wonder, like what is this? Is it just money? Like you're just buying this for the hell of it, or are they are they invested in compound of a XCN, YFI, you know, like what are they, what's going on here? I like the way the weekly looks, actually. I don't like the way the daily looks. Let's get the top to the bottom. It's weird. It's just so weird. I'm going to stand by it. The daily has me convinced it wants to go lower, so you're probably going to go to about, you're at 40 bucks, you probably move down to about 26, 27 bucks, maybe 30 bucks if you're lucky. Lower though. Lower, lower, lower. Yeah, I think so. And that's it, man. That's all I got to say. That's everything. So if you guys liked the video, if you enjoyed it, if you had a good time, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye. Be prepared. Buckle up, you guys. It's looking like it's going to be a rather boring next probably like month or so is what I would think for the Grayscale Trust. So it's been fun. It's been fun, but it can't be fun all the time, right? You know, it's like a party. You can go to a party for like 2 hours, 4 hours, hell, you know, 6, 8 hours, whatever. You know, if you're at a festival, you can do it for like 2 to 3 days, but it will have to come to an end. You will have to get your rest. You will have to recuperate. It's just the name of the game, right? You can have your fun, but in moderation, because if you do it for too long, you will probably die. That's pretty bad. I don't know, guys. I'm delirious. We'll chalk that one up to delirium. So take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.